All the training lessons you'll need to pass the PPL exam are available here. Make sure you're comfortable with these before taking the exam.
Welcome to Sedona. I'm Captain Jess Molina, and I'll be your instructor. For this lesson, we're going to start on the ground and focus on some basic concepts. Fundamentals every pilot needs to know before hitting the skies. This is your plane, a classic, the Cessna 172. Take a look around it. In the simulator, anytime you want, you can easily switch to cursor mode. The cursor is handy for interacting with menus and cockpit controls or instruments. As you can see, activating the cursor also displays the toolbar at the top of the screen. The toolbar is a quick access menu that allows you to control various aspects of the simulation. Try to find and open the controls panel. The controls panel is a useful reminder of the button layout for the devices you're currently using. Now try to find and open the camera panel in the toolbar. The camera panel allows you to access the various views and camera modes of the simulation. Go ahead and close all the panels for now. In front of you is the yoke, the primary means of controlling the aircraft. In the simulation, you will be controlling the aircraft with your peripherals of choice. So, let's hide the yoke for now. All right, as we've seen, when you want to look around you, it's easy to rotate the camera. But you can also move it freely in the cockpit to get a better view of anything you want to see. Even through a window to look outside. Now, reset the camera to its original position. All right, that covers all the main camera functions available in the simulation. Try to familiarize yourself with them a bit more, then reset the camera to its original position whenever you're done. Great. Let's get you familiar with the aircraft, a Cessna 172, and a few commands to navigate it through the skies. In front of you is the yoke. The yoke is like a steering wheel, more or less. Turn it left or right to control the ailerons and bank the aircraft into turns. Look at the trailing edge of the wings while turning the yoke to see the effect on the ailerons. Okay. Now, the difference between the yoke and a steering wheel is you can pull or push on the yoke. This controls the elevator at the back of the aircraft to make it climb or descend. Look at the horizontal stabilizer while you pull on the yoke. You can see how it affects the elevator. Nice. Down at your feet are the rudder pedals. They steer the aircraft when you're on the ground. The upper part of the pedals also control your brakes. In the air, they control the rudder at the end of the vertical stabilizer to yaw the aircraft. This is mostly for small corrections, for coordinating turns or compensating for a plane's tendency to pull left during takeoffs and climbs. Look at the vertical tail while operating the pedals to see the effect on the rudder. Great. Last but not least, the throttle is located near the center of the cockpit. Pushing forward will increase power, pulling back will decrease power. First, look at the throttle and select it. Keep it selected and push it forward to increase power. Power is increased. Now pull it back to decrease power. Power is decreased. Now we'll do the same without focusing on it. Deselect the throttle. Look away from the throttle and increase power. Set your throttle to idle. Excellent. When the engine is on, you'll be able to see the power change on your RPM indicator. You will find it on your PFD screen in the top left corner. This tells you how fast the engine is spinning in hundreds of revolutions per minute. Next, take a look at your current speed on the airspeed indicator. It's on the left on your PFD screen. It measures the speed in knots. To check your altitude, look to the altimeter. It's on the right on your PFD screen. Not all aircraft have integrated screens with all this information. A lot of them rely on analog instruments. You can find the analog versions of the airspeed indicator and the altimeter just above the throttle. They are respectively on the left and right. The analog altimeter has 3 hands similar to a clock. The long, thick pointer indicates 100-foot intervals. The short, thick one is 1,000-foot intervals, and the long, thin one counts 10,000-foot intervals. That's all for today. Next time, we'll see how it feels in the air. To help demonstrate pitch, I've drawn 3 lines on the windshield. Notice how the middle line matches the horizon while we're flying level? This is the cruise attitude. The lower dotted line is the climb attitude, and the upper one is the descent attitude. Let's dig deeper into what that means. Pull back gently on the yoke until the climb attitude line matches the horizon. Then maintain that attitude. According to your altimeter, we're gaining altitude. But we're losing airspeed, proving you can't avoid basic physics while making a climb. Excellent. That's good. Keep working on it, you'll get better. Now, let's level back out. Our speed is increasing and our altitude is stable. All right. That's good. That's okay. Push gently on the yoke until the descent attitude line matches the horizon. Then maintain that attitude. As expected, with a nose-down attitude, our altitude is decreasing while our speed is picking up. That's good. Keep working on it, you'll get better. Okay, bring us back to level flight. Now your speed is decreasing and your altitude is stable. Nice. That's good. That's okay. Try to make only small adjustments to your pitch to avoid overcorrection. For this lesson, we're going to use a line drawn on the windshield to indicate the cruise attitude. I've also added another dotted line to help you bank properly for left turns. Gently move the yoke to the left until the dotted line matches up with the horizon. Then maintain that bank. Excellent. Now, let's see you level back out. All right. For the next step, turning to the right, let's see how you do on your own without any markings. You can see a series of notches representing 10-degree increments on the attitude indicator part of your PFD. As a general rule, you always want to keep your turns under 30 degrees. Start banking right until you're lined up with the second notch to the right on the attitude indicator. Then, maintain that 20-degree bank while remaining at the same altitude until I ask you to stop. Nice. Level us back out now. Great. Wow, great job. Let's talk about the throttle. If you have the need for speed, then the throttle's for you. Full control over the power output of the engine. In the Cessna 172, that relates directly to the RPM displayed on the tachometer on the PFD. Pull back on the throttle to reduce RPM to 1800. Look how your speed and altitude are also decreasing. Excellent. Okay, let's throttle back up to 2,400 RPM. Your speed is increasing now. As long as you maintain the same attitude, your altitude will keep climbing as well. Nice. That was excellent. With piston planes like this Cessna, it's common to have power targets defined in RPM. The art of maneuvering a plane through the air isn't a mystery to you anymore. Now it's time to test the skills you've learned. As you can see, we're cruising at 6,000 feet on a north heading of 360 degrees. Start by descending to 5,500 feet while maintaining a northerly heading. While descending, reduce throttle to avoid overspeed. If your speed is in the yellow section of the airspeed indicator, it means you are overspeeding. Reduce throttle to idle and pull gently on the yoke to slow down. While descending, reduce throttle to avoid overspeed. Right. Now, climb to 6,000 feet and turn to a south heading. On the Cessna 172, you need full power to climb effectively. Nice. All right, next exercise. Maintain your heading of 180 degrees, stay at 6,000 feet, and adjust your airspeed to 80 knots. All right. That was excellent. Hello. Today, we're going to go over all the steps that precede turning on your engine. Those steps are essential to ensure your aircraft's integrity and that everything is in order for a smooth and seamless flight. First of all, stretch your legs a bit and take a look at your aircraft and your surroundings. We never took much time to look at our aircraft from the outside, so take your time if you want to inspect it. You might have noticed some extra bits on your aircraft. These are the covers and chocks. Covers are installed when the plane is not in use and are meant to avoid damaging its sensitive parts. Chocks are there to immobilize the aircraft. You'll need to remove them before takeoff. And we're done for the outside. Now that we're sure your aircraft is functional and ready to taxi, let's check the inside. Let's get to the matter at hand. You've been given an EFB, also referred to as an electronic flight bag. It's a tablet that stores critical flight information and is the ideal tool to prepare your flight plans and enhance your piloting experience. Open it and take a look. Feel free to follow a quick guided tour of its features. The YEFB features an interactive map, a flight plan editor, aircraft and current flight information, a nav log, as well as fuel and payload options. The YEFB has plenty to offer, but if you want to get directly into the action, you can turn it off after you finish the quick tour. It seems like we're all clear on the checklist. Now start this pretty bird up. Now that we've covered all the preparations, let's get to the good stuff, shall we? Let's take a moment to talk about taxiing. Taxiing refers to moving the aircraft on the ground under its own power. In particular, getting from the ramp out to the hold short point on the edge of the runway. Steering on the ground is managed through the rudder pedals. That's right, unlike driving a car, we turn by using our feet. Okay, ready? With the throttle idle, release your parking brake. Okay. Now, gently increase throttle to get the aircraft moving. Go easy on your throttle. Use your rudder pedal to turn left and enter the taxiway. Increase throttle to gain forward momentum and then reduce RPM accordingly to match a fast walking speed while taxiing. Now, test the brakes. Good. Brakes checked. Taxi to the next exit, then come to a stop. Remember to control your speed with throttle and brakes. See the crossing in front of us. Stop before it, as if traffic was coming off the runway. All right, taxi to holding point Alpha 1 next. It's at the far end of the airport, near the head of runway 21. Stay as close as possible to the taxiway center, marked by the yellow line, and watch your speed. After the right turn, come to a stop before the hold short point, in prep for takeoff. You've mastered that lesson. The next challenge will be to keep the aircraft under control while at full throttle for takeoff. There's an old saying I like, a mile of road will take you a mile. A mile of runway will take you anywhere. Taking off isn't hard, but there are a few key points to remember. First, we always take off into the wind, which won't be an issue on a calm day like today. Second, before we enter a runway, we always make sure it's clear. Check to the right to see if a vehicle is on the runway, and to the left to make sure no other planes are approaching. Runway numbers are not arbitrary. Each number matches the first two number of the runway's compass bearing, rounded to the nearest 10 degrees. For example, a runway orientated towards the north would be numbered 36, which is 360 degrees on a compass. Everything looks good, no cross traffic. Go ahead and taxi into position. Now slowly taxi onto the runway and align the plane with the center line. Then stop your plane just after the number 21. Excellent. All right, let's do this. Apply full power, and I'll walk you through the takeoff as we go. Use your rudder to stay on the center line, and keep pushing power until you reach 55 knots. Gently pull back on the yoke. And we're airborne. Line up the top of your instrument panel so it's a couple of inches above the horizon. That'll pitch us up and set a good climb attitude. Maintain 75 knots and we'll reach our target altitude of 5,500 feet in no time. Focus on flying straight. Use your rudders to remove the left yaw plane as when climbing. You can see your current yaw input by looking at the MFD's slip skid indicator. Maintain 75 knots and climb to 5,500 feet. Okay, 5,500 feet. You've reached your target altitude. That was a nice takeoff. For this landing exercise, I want you to focus on the yoke only. We're close enough to the runway to land safely without adding any throttle. Maintain a speed of around 65 knots. Pitch down if you're going too slow. Pitch up if you're too fast. Keep your airspeed at 65 knots. When you're 10 feet above the runway, it's time to flare. To flare means to raise the nose of the aircraft to slow your descent for a softer landing, but without ever leveling off or climbing. The main landing gear will touch down before the nose wheel does. We're coming up on flare height. Resist the temptation to pull back. Now, focus on the end of the runway and pull back slightly on the yoke to aim the nose just above it. Nice. Now, apply the brakes progressively to slow us down and bring the plane to a stop. Use rudder pedals to stay on the center line. Well done, but there's room for improvement. Keep in mind that approaching the runway at the right speed is key to a good landing. In the first part of this landing exercise, I want you to stay on the glide path by using the throttle. You can make small corrections with the yoke to stay aligned with the runway. Smooth action on the throttle is key for remaining on the correct glide path. If you find yourself too high, reduce your power. If you're too low, increase it. Remember though, always make soft corrections. You don't want to overcompensate. Now you can use the elevator to land. Reduce throttle to idle. Now, focus on the end of the runway and pull back slightly on the yoke to aim the nose just above it. Nice. Now, apply the brakes to slow us down and bring the plane to a stop. That was excellent. first instructor used to say, the best part of flying is landing in one piece. Today, you're in charge of bringing us in for a safe landing. And I've already set us up in landing configuration at 65 knots with 20 degrees of flaps. Keep your aim point on the runway threshold. When you're 10 feet above the runway, it's time to flare. Reduce throttle to idle. Now, focus on the end of the runway and pull back slightly on the yoke to aim the nose just above it. Nice. Now, apply the brakes progressively to slow us down and bring the plane to a stop. Use rudder pedals to stay on the center line. That was excellent. Okay, we're currently flying on the downwind leg, at the standard traffic pattern altitude of 6,000 feet. It's a flight path parallel to the landing runway, but in the opposite direction. In downwind, you want to start preparing for landing. That means setting your speed and flaps configuration. We are passing the end of the runway, so go ahead and reduce RPM to 1700. It will help you to slow you down to 80 knots and begin your descent. The flaps provide extra lift at the expense of additional drag. This extra lift allows flying at a lower airspeed. Flaps allow for smoother and shorter landings. Go ahead and extend 10 degrees of flaps, all while maintaining current speed. We will turn to the base leg when the end of the runway is at a 45-degree angle behind us. Turn left onto the base leg. Try to keep our speed around 75 knots. Keep an eye on the runway as we get ready for our final turn. Turn left onto final. Make your left turn onto final. Keep a stabilized approach with 65 knots airspeed and prepare for landing. Use throttle and flaps as required to adjust the glide slope. Apply the brakes and stop the plane. That was a perfect traffic pattern execution. Well done. It's time. Your first solo flight. I'll be watching from the ground, in radio contact if you need me, but something tells me you won't. Your goal is to complete Sedona's left-hand traffic pattern on your own. Remember everything we covered in our previous sessions, and you'll be just fine. Good luck. See you on the other side. I think a bit more practice may be a good idea. You're on your way to becoming one hell of a pilot.
It's time. Your first ever check ride. Start by removing the covers and chocks. Then join me inside. Your goal is to complete a left-hand traffic pattern, respecting the flight path and all required speeds. Rely on what you have learned in your trainings, and you'll be fine. Now, show me the best traffic pattern that you've got.
Foxtrot Alpha 6-9er traffic Cessna November 9er Tree 108 is taxiing to runway 1. Foxtrot Alpha 6 9er traffic Cessna November 9er Tree 108 is on final runway 1 to land. Foxtrot Alpha 6 9er traffic Cessna November 9er Tree 108 is taxiing to parking.
Congratulations. You're on your way to become one hell of a pilot.
Congratulations on passing your PPL exam. Hopefully that's the first of many steps on your career path. Your PPL allows you to fly recreationally and begin to build up your flight hours. First flight missions are a great way to increase your experience. Let's go back to headquarters and review the specializations board to learn more. As you can see, the career journey of a pilot can take many different paths. As I said earlier, your PPL is the first step, allowing you to fly recreationally and perform first flight missions, taking people on tours around the local area. As you build up your flight hours and earn more certifications, other specializations will become available. Take a look around. Then, when you're ready, head to the missions list to see what's available. On this map, you can see all the missions currently available to you. There's one mission currently available. Select it now.